So in October of 2022, I left business school to go all in on my video agency, and in June of 2024, our business did just shy of $100,000 in revenue. Revenue, not profit. I like to specify that because there's a lot of clickbait on YouTube around that. But I want to share this with you guys today, not to sway any opinions or influence anyone's personal decision, but as the title and thumbnail suggests, I just want to share my experience with you guys of somebody that was going to a top 25 business school that decided to leave that to pursue another option. And you guys can make your own decision, and hopefully this helps with whatever situation you're in, and you can take some inspiration. But I'm going to run you back to my senior year of high school. I was dabbling in a lot of this make money online stuff. I had seen a lot of the YouTube videos, explored the options, right? At the time I was freelancing. I was doing some interning for a trading company. I was doing their social media. I was helping with their copywriting, newsletters, email marketing, a bunch of stuff, right? And I was starting to make a little bit of money online, making a few $1,000s a month. And I was approaching my first year of college, right? I was going to top 25 business school. I was going to Indiana University, Kelley School of Business, and I didn't have a burning desire to go to that school, right? It was really a backup option for me. I applied to 3 other schools. I was choosing between Notre Dame, Michigan, University of Texas at Austin. Didn't get into any of those schools, so that was my last option. And still a very, very good school, but wasn't super stoked about going there. And going in, I had the expectation that I was going to go down the traditional finance path, probably work in investment banking, do the JP Morgan thing, get an internship my junior year, pretty much the track that most people follow when breaking into the world of IB. And something about the weeks leading up to going to school, so this was around like late July 2022, going into school and getting ready, I just had this sense of dread, and I didn't properly identify the emotion at the time. I thought it was just college jitters. I'm worried about going off to a different state, right? Not really going to know anyone, having to make new friends, all the above. And so I didn't properly diagnose at the time, but deep down I knew that's not what I wanted to do. It's just I had a desire to do something else, and my calling wasn't at Indiana. I had other things that I wanted to do, but I didn't want to be honest with myself because I knew the level of backlash that I would receive for making that decision. I knew that it was a controversial one. I knew that a lot of people weren't in agreement with me or see the vision at the time. So I tried to stuff it down. I'm like, you know what? Let's try to make this work. Stick it out for a few years, maybe 2, maybe 4 if I can make it that far, and just do the business stuff on the side and try to make this work. And so upon arriving at school, I'll never forget, I had a public speaking class, and I took this class. I enrolled in this class because I thought it was going to be easy, right? As a business major, I had to take this for one of my credits, and I spoke at my high school graduation, so I figured, you know what, this will be an easy class, no big deal. I'm sure my professor will love me. I'm sure I'll be able to add some value overall. And I'll never forget, one of the first few days we had to do like an impromptu speech as like one of our first assignments and be able to talk on the fly. The professor wanted to prepare note cards and have all this stuff ready, and I was like, you know what, let me wing it because I don't really need that. I'm comfortable speaking off the top of my head. I don't need a presentation or note cards to assist me here. And after finishing the speech, the professor pulls me outside, and he essentially says, you have an ego problem. You need to deal with this, or you're not going to succeed in my class. And it was done in the most condescending tone. I can't remember exactly how he put it, but I just remember feeling so patronized. I was outside this class, and I'm just like, who is this guy telling me what to do, And it was really frustrating to me because I was looking forward to this class. I was looking forward to the school. I was trying to make things work, and it seemed like I was just hitting resistance all over the place, right? They were trying to put me in this box. And I don't say this to talk down on the school or, any individuals, but it was a thing of feeling like I was just suppressed and I wasn't allowed to be myself. And I remember he left a really snarky comment on that speech. He's like, it's time to move beyond your high school success strategy. And I have this like 30-something-year-old projecting on a 20-year-old that's just trying to have a good time and, show my skills. And I feel like I'm already being attacked on day one. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. And that was really the first sign. And I remember walking into those dining halls, and I would go, before this public speaking class, I would get up around 7:45. I think I had like an 8:30 or something like that. And I remember walking through the dining hall, and it was just the most depressing sight ever, right? There's a lot of stuff online about, never work a cubicle job like this, that, right? And a lot of people don't actually experience what that's like to to walk into like people preparing for the work day or school day or whatever, a lot of people just they hear from someone else online and like, oh, I don't want that because so and so said it was bad. There was an innate disappointment or sense of like dread and just not good feelings when I walked into that dining hall and I saw people with their heads down. They had their AirPods in, they weren't socializing with everyone, they were eating the disgusting dining hall food, and it was just a really, really sad sight to see. And I don't say this to put anyone down, but rather I just saw that I'm like, this is not really what I signed up for what I wanted, right? It was not a place where I feel like I could grow into. And I saw this and it was just very intuitive. I was just like, I cannot spend the next 4 years here. I got to do something. And I was already working on this stuff at the time at the side. And I was just like, this is my sign to go all in. And I need to make this work or I'm going to be doomed to this fate. And, you know, maybe it's not a bad fate. Maybe it means an internship somewhere. I still can 100% be successful. That's not the message of this. But it's not the success I want. It's somebody else's success that is being prescribed to me. And so I'm in college. I'm working on this stuff. I'm starting to, you know, do outreach to get clients for doing some social media stuff. I'm just helping manage people's Instagrams at the time, doing a little bit of video editing, making a few grand a month. And eventually I start stacking clients and I decided to leave school. And this was the first big step for me because it was really the first promise to myself that I'm going to go in and at least give this a shot. So I leave school about 2 months in, halfway through the first semester, and now I'm all in. Now I have no chance to, you know, go back or redeem myself. I remember going to the admissions office and they gave me like 5 double checks, like, are you sure you want to unenroll? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. I'd never been so confident in a decision in my life because I knew that even if I didn't know what was on the other side, even if I didn't know if this was going to work out, I know what I was very clear on what I didn't want. And so that was really the guiding factor in my decision. And so after making that decision, I moved back home for a little bit. I'm working on this business and, you know, I see advertisement for this mastermind, this business with all these guys online, Client Ascension, shout out. They were hosting this event with a lot of online entrepreneurs in the digital marketing space, and I was like, you know what, this could be really cool. You know, I was making probably 5 to 6 grand a month at the time, sometimes 8, with the video editing stuff I was doing during that time. So I was like, you know what, I can definitely afford it. So, you know, bought into the program, got a ticket for this event, and I'm off. So it's in Tampa. And at this event, I'm talking with a bunch of people, learning. I'm seeing guys that are making $50,000, $100,000 a month, even more. And my eyes are just open. And I think this is very cool. I've seen it online, but to actually meet and, you know, interact with these people in person was a completely different experience. And so towards the end of the event, we go to cigars. Everyone's hanging out there. And I decided to go over to the back and just talk with some different people. I'm walking around the room. And the guy who's filming the event, his name is Cam. And we just start talking. We start interacting. And at the time I was freelancing, so I was working for 4 or 5 different clients, doing all the work myself, super stressed. And I was just getting guidance from him on how to outsource and scale and everything like that. We have a great conversation, and at the end of the night, everyone starts going to the club. But then Cam's like, dude, I want to finish this event recap because I want to beat the other videographer and get the recap out sooner. So I was like, say less, I got to do some client work. Let's go meet up back at the hotel and just work, get some Red Bulls and bang this out. And so we're both working at this hotel room at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we just kind of look at each other like, damn, like this is super cool because everyone else was out that night. We were just both on our stuff, had stuff to do, knew our priorities, and I thought that was really cool. So I actually had a Miami trip planned the next few days because I was looking at it as a place to live. And so he actually lived there, so I crashed with him for a night. We hung out, we did a bunch of work together. It was super, super cool. And, you know, come back to Connecticut a couple weeks later, he hits me up. He's like, hey, we got to partner up and run this up together. I was like, done deal. No hesitation whatsoever. Had just met this guy, but I could tell already he had a good heart and he was very experienced and knew what he was doing. And so that's where our relationship was born. That's when we became business partners, formed the LLC, made it official, called it an agency. Now I'm no longer a freelancer, and this is where it all begins. So this is around November of 2022, going into December of 2022. And at this point, Cam's in Miami. He's like, dude, you really need to come out here because if we actually want to take this seriously and we want to turn this into a real video agency and start working with some big names, like this is the spot to be. There's a ton of connections. I'm already a little bit tapped in. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but you know, I know I can probably get in touch with some people. I'm like, let's go. Let's make it happen. Signed the lease. Definitely a little bit over my head at the time. I was paying $4 grand a month, and you know, keep in mind I'm only making like probably 7, 8 here. And it was ambitious, right? But I was like, you know what? let's make it happen. It's now or never. So I moved to Miami early January 2023, and I connected with this one guy on Twitter named Alex Hayden, aka No Code Alex, and we had talked about working together, but more importantly, we just got along. And he was like, dude, I know you're moving to Miami next week. Like, if you need someone to hang out with or just get lunch with, like, let me know. So he invites me to lunch. First week in Miami, I'm brand new. I'm still getting the lay of the land. First time in a really big city. And we're getting lunch together. We're talking about content. He does software, and I'm already hearing about, he's thinking about selling his company. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is actual business right here. And this guy, is only a couple of years older than me, and he's doing real stuff. And so he'll come back in later, but he was one of my first friends when I moved to Miami. We went on a boat together. A couple weeks later, great experience. Now, Alex comes into the picture because, we're trying to get clients for our agency, but we don't really have testimonials. We haven't really worked with any big names. We don't really have that big of a following yet, right? Both our brands are very, very small. Cam at the time only had 2,000 followers, didn't have a YouTube channel, right? And we're both just looking to grow. And so at the time, we realized if we're going to break into this new city and we're going to make a name for ourselves, the only way in is to show people what we're capable of. So that's where free work came into the picture, because we knew Alex, we knew he had a brand. I talked to him about content before, but he's like, oh, I already have a guy for that, right? But we knew we could blow him up with some good quality videos, but we just had to show it to him first, right? So I do a podcast with him, and I was just looking to, do a podcast because he's one of my boys. But at the end of the podcast, Cam's got his whole setup. He's got like a really nice camera. I think it was the Komodo at the time, the Red. If you guys know what that is, it's one of the best cameras. They used it to shoot The Matrix, actually. And we're like, yo, Alex, like, let's shoot some videos, like, totally free. He's like, sure. Because we were just finishing up the podcast. He's like, why not? So we shoot a couple of videos with him. We put them into production. We go edit them for him. And we're like, yo, Alex, we made some clips for you. Go post them. See how they do. He's like, say less. And I'll never forget the days following, because that completely changed the course of both of our careers forever. And Alex's as well. So Alex posts this video, and a couple days later, he wakes up, and he sees that the video is at something like 20, 30K views. And at the time, he had like 200 followers. So he's just like going crazy. He's getting a ton of followers. He's at 1,000, then 5,000, then he's at 7,000. And then he's like, boys, this is going crazy. Like, this is super cool. And he's like, how much do you guys charge? And we're like, oh, we're going to do 5K a month. We just said that number. We're like, we've never charged that much ever before. But we're like, you know what? We're confident in the ability of our abilities. We're confident in the service we can provide. And we know, you've already seen the kind of results you're going to get from working with us. And it's like a little bit on the fence, like, oh, I'll think about it, blah, blah, blah. That video goes on to get 1.1 million views, then 1.6 in the weeks following. And he's like, all right, send the invoice. I'm ready to go. At that point, he's at like 10 or 20K followers from one video, all the way from 200. And his brand completely explodes. His calendar's all booked up, and everything's changed for him and us. And so soon word gets around that, oh, these guys, Presley and Cam, they just came into town and they're blowing people up on Instagram, right? And so Alex goes on the most generational run on Instagram ever. We start working together, still very close friends, become very good friends over the course of working together, and we run him up to over 100,000 followers in 3 months. And keep in mind, this was pre-ManyChat era. This was like February, March 2023, before ManyChat was actually a feature and you could do the auto DM comment for a free resource thing. So this was like literally no engagement hacking whatsoever. We did not have access to any of that stuff. Blew him up to 100,000 followers organically in the course of 3 months from 200 followers. Completely changed his business. He's getting sales calls left and right. Grows his email list by something like 10, 20,000. And everything changes because we're posting about online. People are freaking out like, dude, how do you do this? Like, these guys, the videos look so good. Like, Alex, who's doing your content? And we just start getting referral after referral after referral. And it is the most mind-blowing experience from, somebody that had just gone from doing cold outreach and kind of getting ignored and brushed off to now everyone wants to work with us. Everyone wants to be a part of our agency. And it was the coolest feeling. So, in a matter of months, we scaled up to something like $50,000 a month as a content agency in revenue just from all the referrals we were getting from this. It was insane. The only problem is we didn't have the systems in place in the time. So very quickly we realized we were staying up till like 3 or 4 a.m. Cam and I were still doing some of the editing, and it was just an overall nightmare. I remember being in LA one day for what was supposed to be a leisure trip from an event we got invited to by one of our friends, and I remember just literally working all day from like, getting up at 7:38 to, just literally finishing in time for dinner at 7 o'clock. And we were like, wow, what an early day, like an 8 to 7 shift. Like, that was an early day. Like, that was a light day for us, I remember. And we kind of just knew something needed to change. and we were very happy with the progress we made. We had made a bunch of connections, and everything was going good, except for the fact that we had no life. Sip of coffee. And so after that, we quickly realized something needed to change, or we were both going to burn out, and things weren't going to work out. And so this is when we shifted our business to being a YouTube agency, like doing long form content for clients rather than short form, just because we wanted to make a change, and we thought, okay, 4 videos a month is probably going to be easier than 60 videos a month, and we can also alter our pricing structure to be incentivized on a performance basis so we can work with fewer clients. So we shift our business model at first, essentially starting a new business, and we chop half of our clients, and the rest we just convert to long form. We start doing long form content with them. This is around, so the time we got to $50,000 a month as a content agency, that was around maybe like May or June of 2023, and we made the full pivot to long form around August or September of 2023. Started working with fewer clients on a performance basis and doing their YouTube content, so really had to learn an entirely new platform. Cam already had a bunch of experience because he had experience with running faceless channels. He had done stuff with the trading company he used to work for, so he had a bunch of experience already, and I was learning the ropes for the first time. So we started attacking this YouTube thing for people, and we have a hit, right? We get one of our clients on a performance deal, and his channel just absolutely blows up in the first month. So not only were we getting paid on a retainer basis, but we were also getting paid on performance for the revenue that we drove from the videos we created. We were tracking that through Hyro, so we knew exactly, okay, every single month your channel is bringing in this much revenue from your coaching program, from your community, whatever. So that starts working really well for us. And throughout that fall, it was a grind of really just building up those first few case studies with our existing clients, showing that, hey, we can actually do YouTube. I mean, in fact, we literally made a free video for this guy across the country. We sent him a proposal. We're like, hey, we will literally do a month free of YouTube for you. We'll come across the country to California. We'll shoot 4 YouTube videos for you. We'll edit all the videos. We'll do all the SEO. Basically do an entire month's worth of YouTube content for you for free, just because we needed that case study. Like, this is where the free work thing, we never gave up the free work, even as we progressed in our careers and more people knew us, because we knew how valuable it could be, and we knew that if we did a good job with the free work, we could potentially get them on a retainer. So in August, around August 2023, with one of the people we were looking at, we literally did a month's worth of YouTube content, incurred maybe like a $4,000 project or experiment, so to speak. We spent $4 or $5 grand just to fulfill for this guy to fly out, shoot, do all the videos, just at the chance that we might land him as a client. And sure enough, we did. But most people are not willing to do this, but it ended up being a really good, starting point of the first few clients we were working with being associated with him, and ended up making some cool videos for him and adding this to the portfolio. But that was the stuff we needed to do to really get our name out in the YouTube space and continuing growing our portfolio. And so that was really what fall of 2023 was all about. It's like, really, okay, we got really far really fast, but it was not sustainable with the short form agency. We didn't have the systems in place. We were doing all the work ourselves, and things were just falling apart. So let's rebuild the right way with a better model, with performance deals, fewer clients, and let's build the right way this time. So that's what we did fall of 2023. We were really just in the trenches. Cam goes on to go on a generational run. He grows his Instagram from like 2,000 followers to almost 100K in 3 months. Again, pretty much showing, hey, we did it once, we're going to do it again to show that that's not luck. We actually do this. And once again, business changes forever. Start getting hit up a ton. We're selling a ton of consulting deals, blah, 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 and still growing the YouTube agency at the time. And so we're just on this trajectory now where we're getting more well-known in the industry, more people are finding out about us, and things are starting to look up. I'm still living in Miami. Cam's still living in Miami. We're getting a little bit more comfortable. Now we have a little bit more money to do stuff, which is pretty cool. And now we have the opportunity to actually travel for more clients. Now we can work with people outside of Miami, because now we are charging bigger packages, and now we can, go and work with people outside of Miami. And so this opens a lot of doors come 2024 to work with new clients. Now we're going from 5K a month to now 10K a month in performance, and people are still biting on that. They're like, you guys are the guys. Of course, let's run it. No hesitation whatsoever. Now we're charging 5 figures per client, which was like unheard of. I thought 5K a month, like, dude, no one's going to pay for this. And then all of a sudden, because of the value we're providing, and because of the fact we directly attribute revenue to the services we're providing, and there's a clear ROI, people are buying in. And all of a sudden, it's just like 10K client, like 15K client, like 8K client, and then 10%, right? And then all of a sudden, we just start stacking these wins. And all these people, we're blowing them up, we're getting them results on YouTube, we're blowing them up, even if it's not crazy viral. Like, we're making videos that convert for people. So, you know, their videos might only get 5 to 10K views, 10 to 20K views, but they're making money from them because they have a really good coaching program in the back end, and we're bringing them in traffic. And so I'm realizing, wow, this actually works. Like, we can get predictable results for people with YouTube. This is dope. And so we're working with people in all different niches. We're working with people in, you know, TikTok Shop affiliate. They have a coaching program around that. We're doing content for people in wholesale real estate. We're doing traders, right? Cam and I both have a trading background. We both worked for trading education info product companies a couple of years back. That's how we both started. And we're working with them because we know the niche and we're getting them results, right? And then all of a sudden, all this starts to compound, and before long, we are just the go-to guys for content in Miami for these personal brands and these entrepreneurs with these online education companies. And so now we're looking at like March, April 2024, so not too long ago from the time I'm recording this video, and like we're like, dude, we're literally about to hit our first 6-figure month. We're right there, and it's a crazy feeling for us because we started, you know, in Miami with 0 connections, and about a year and a half later, we're the go-to guys for the service. And it just blew our minds because we're like, we never would have thought we'd progress this quickly. And, you know, with a service-based business, I want to be very clear, like, when you're making that much in revenue, like, for the expenses, for paying good contractors, we had a videographer for a bit, we were paying pretty handsomely. We had, you know, we have editors to pay, we have designers to pay, we have travel expenses. Like, that's not super sexy. So, you know, when you hear like 80K a month revenue or 100K a month revenue, like, not all of that is profit. In fact, you know, we're probably not paying ourselves as much as you think we are at the time. And so that's also really important to include as well, because there's a lot of distorted perceptions about how much you're actually making, or people talking about their income online. So I want to be very clear about that. But at the time, we're like, dude, this is insane. We just scaled it up, and now things are going well. And so fast forward to, you know, June, July of 2024, we landed our first deal with StockX. And that was our first really big deal that was outside the personal brand space. That was an enterprise deal. We had a friend connect us that we knew, that we had helped with her agency, and then she, you know, brought us into the email thread, brought us in the deal because she was doing short form content for them. They needed a long form provider, and we were just the go-to people for in Miami. So simply by word of mouth and building our reputation as the go-to guys for the service, we were looped in the deal and successfully able to make a YouTube video, get included in that deal. It was a super cool opportunity, and something I never thought would have been possible so early on in my career. And thinking about this now, it's really not that difficult. And I don't mean to say that it's easy, but I don't think did anything special. We just found a market that was underserviced, that was in dire need of good video people, and we extended ourselves beyond what everyone else was doing, which is the shitty DMs, the low effort messages, and we went above and beyond to show, hey, we're interested in working with you. We're actually going to do stuff up front to show that we can actually provide value and help your business. And before long, we were the go-to guys for video in Miami. It still blows my mind, because so many people will spend years at school, they'll have all the information in their head, they'll learn all this knowledge about networking, communications, all this, they'll be on LinkedIn spamming requests, but a simple hello or message to someone, that can be $3,000 a month client, that can be somebody who pays you $5,000 a month, even $10,000 a month in some cases. But most people don't want to go through that process of facing the possibility that this person might not respond, this person might say no. But we heeded all that advice. We went and did the hard way, right? Which is actually the easy way. And we extended ourselves beyond what people thought you should have done. People thought you should have done the DM templates, the easy stuff where you copy and paste and send it to 100 people, because that's the easy way. We chose the hard way, and it ended up being the easy way because we got the best clients in the industry that no one else could work with, and we got the best results out of anyone in the industry because we were able to work with those clients that just had a better story, better brand, etc. And so the point of me making this video is, like I said in the intro, not to say drop out of business school, do this, do that, but as someone that didn't have a lot of business experience 2 years ago, a lot of the stuff I know just came as a byproduct of doing the thing. I did not have all the answers 2 years ago. I still don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring a lot out as I go. But after, doing my first six-figure month in revenue, I can confidently say that you can do it. Maybe it's not 6 figures a month in revenue, but maybe it's your first $2,000, your first $5,000, right? Because every milestone I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I can't do any more than this. But every single time I would somehow surpass my expectations just because I kept going and I kept it moving. And a lot of people are trying to think about, I'm at zero now, I'm just starting my video business, I'm just starting my agency, whatever, and they're thinking about how they can get to $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month. I was never concerned about that. From the get-go, I just wanted a somewhat of a gateway to freedom, something that I could live comfortably off of and not worry about expenses, and I wouldn't have to go to school, something where I could just live life outside of that and have some semblance of freedom. And before long, I realized, like, dude, I'm working with some of the biggest names in the industry. We just worked with StockX. They're worth, they do over $1 billion a year. And I'm like, I didn't even mean to do any of this. It kind of just happened by accident, it feels like, because I just took it one step at a time. When I was in high school, I just wanted to make a few grand a month. Then it was $5,000 a month. Then it was $10,000 a month. And, before long, our agency started growing, and, now I'm doing numbers, and I'm like, wow, I really never thought this would have been possible. But if I had started with the expectation that I'm going to go from 0 to 100, or had my eyes on 100 the entire time, I would have not followed through with it, because that mountain seems so much more difficult to climb in my head, and I would have probably not gotten there because I would have given up or lost hope when I didn't get to 6 figures in 6 months, which is the expectation that most people online give you. And I was more focused on getting the 1K a month clients, the 2K a month clients, because I knew I would build the experience with those clients and sharpen the sword so that I could go sign the clients for 5 figures plus per month. And so wherever you're at right now, if you're at 5K a month, if you're at 0, if you're at 10K a month, just understand that it will happen eventually, but it might just take a little bit longer than you expected. I remember feeling really distraught in the fall of 2023 because we basically had to restart our agency, and I wasn't really super happy with that, because I was like, dude, a year ago I would have expected that I'm at this point, because now I'm like a year out of college and I wanted to be at this point. And people just need to lengthen their time frames, because if you don't give yourself that time, you say, I'm going to give myself 3 months, I'm going to give myself 6 months, right? So, this is really for anyone that is considering taking a gap year or leaving or whatever. I'll leave you with this. When you give yourself these 3 month, 6 month time frames, that's not enough time, right? It took me almost 2 years to get to the point where I'm at, and I still feel like I could be way further. And when you give yourself these 3 month, 6 month time frames, you don't allow yourself to grow into the person you need to be to go and get the $100,000 a month. The personal development takes a lot longer to happen, and you're going to need to go through a lot of painful downturns and losses to actually become the person capable of 6 figures a month. And 1 year saying I'm going to give myself 1 year to make this business work, or I'm going back to school or something like that, that might work for you, but for most people, you're not giving yourself enough time to allow it to happen. And once you sign up for this game of entrepreneurship, this game of business, you're signing up for a game for life. This isn't just business, it's a game of personal development. You will be tested. You're gonna have a lot of hard days. Like last week, dude, there were a lot of fires in our agency, and I was like, man, this is difficult. It's actually hard. And there's no turning back, really, right? It's not burn all the boats or anything, like actually putting yourself in financial danger, but more so from a mental perspective of accepting that if I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to commit to this, and I'm going to go 110%. So if you don't plan to do that, if you don't plan to treat it like a business, if it's just a hobby for you, stay in business school. Do the clubs, do the fake investing games, that's cool. I personally didn't want to do that, though. I wanted to do it for real, and I didn't want to be playing in a simulation. I wanted to play my own game and create the rules for myself.